We welcome you to our Coffee with the Cop for the very first time on Facebook because of the sequestered being away from each other, and we're trying to exercise that kind of physical distance even here in the studio, but we're glad you're a part of us. We've asked the Chief, Steve Roser, to be with us today, and we've asked Sergeant Rob Brown, who is our Traffic Unit Director, to be with us today. So as we begin, I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves with their history and how long they've been with the police department or in law enforcement. Chief?
Sure. My name is Steve Roser. I've been at your police department for 6 months now, the chief of the Prescott Valley Police Department. Prior to that, I was with the Phoenix Police Department for almost 30 years. And then prior to that, I was in the United States Air Force for 4 years.
Good experience. We're glad you're on board here as our
Thank
chief.
you. I appreciate
it's good to have you. Sergeant Brown?
Morning, Jerry. So, yeah, I don't have that kind of a background. I can tell you that I started Prescott Valley just over 23 years ago. I went through a local academy, NARDA 2, came over to Prescott Valley, been here ever since. Matter of fact, the building that we're sitting in now wasn't here when I started law enforcement in Prescott Valley.
Several buildings weren't here when you started here.
Several buildings were not here.
But we're glad you're here and appreciate you being a part of this time today.
Jerry, what's your background?
Well, I was first sworn as an officer in 1968 with Pasadena Police Department, and from then I've been to 4 other police agencies over the 50-year period. My background is parallel ministry and law enforcement, where I've pastored for that 50-year period, as well as been a police officer in the community wherever I pastored. So it's been an interesting career for me as well.
Very good. Well, I know that we appreciate you in our organization as well, and I know the community does too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What we've done is we've polled online audience from our social media accounts for questions, and so we're going to be asking a series of questions for each of you to give your viewpoint on, and anything else you might want to share with that. The first question that I want to ask each of you to address is, what's the best part about being a police officer?
Okay, I'll start if you're okay with that. Just helping others, helping those people that can't help themselves, being the voice of people who maybe don't have the courage or the ability to come forward. Having that ability to kind of help other people is the most important thing for me. Good. In law enforcement.
Good, thank you. Rob?
Yeah, for me, it's something very similar to that. I enjoy, it's something different every day,
yes,
but the same, and it gives you the opportunity to be on the front lines there and try to help and solve problems for other people. It gives them somebody that they can call. It gives me a purpose, I guess I would say. That's what I like about it, coming to work every day.
It's a unique job. There's no doubt about it. Every day is different.
Yes.
And that's what's really enjoyable about it. I'm sure you've experienced that throughout your career as well.
And one of the things that you recognize is there is no such thing as routine.
Correct.
Because if you assume something's going to be routine, that's when it can go haywire on you.
Yes.
So you need to be careful. The word I've used over the decades has been servant, being a servant to the people, and serve what the needs are of the community. So I appreciate that.
True.
As you know, there's a lot of crime on television, not the news, but the theater and everything. So what do movies and TV get wrong or right about the police industry?
Well, I would tell you that DNA and crimes are not solved in 30 minutes. Yeah. We send something to a lab that is not local. We don't have a lab here at our agency. It all goes up to Flagstaff, and it's a month turnaround sometimes. So
if we're lucky. If we're lucky. Yeah.
If we're lucky, yeah. So people expect things to happen extremely quick, and it's not always that.
It's interesting because I still watch the cop shows. I remember when I was a kid, Adam 12, and that was even early my childhood. But Hill Street Blues, which was a excellent cop show. Yeah. It's interesting you bring that question up because I just started getting into with this COVID-19, and being isolated at home, I got into watching The Wire on HBO, and it's really fascinating to see that, because the people behind the scenes that are narrating or directing those type of productions are actually doing a really good job, and they do know a lot about law enforcement. Like Rob had alluded to, though, you can't solve a crime in 60 minutes or 30 minutes, and I just want the public to understand that. I think that most people do understand that. The important thing is, if you're a victim of a crime or you see something suspicious, make sure that you tell us and get us the information, so that we can, as much information as possible, so that we can do our best to try to solve that crime as quickly as possible.
Well, the mantra is, if you see something, say something.
You
Correct,
see something,
yeah.
say something.
That's what we're trying to get them all to do. So I appreciate that. One of the biggest news items now that occupies a lot of our time and our detectives' time has to do with fraud and with scams. So one of the questions that was sent in is, how do I avoid scams, and what do I contact, or who do I contact if I think I've become a victim to a scam?
So just, I would say, just be cautious. When you receive a phone call. Today, as a matter of fact, earlier today, I received a phone call on my cell phone from a 602 number, which is the Phoenix area, and it's not unusual to get calls anymore from solicitors, and a lot of times they piggyback on those solicitors and obtain your phone numbers and start to ask for specific things like, hey, I can help you out of this IRS problem, or whatever financial issue you're going through at the time, and they just prey on the weak and the people that don't have the knowledge. We do have a very good resource in the police department. Jerry, in fact, you have put out multiple media releases concerning scams in the Prescott Valley area. But you can go to the internet. The FBI has a scam computer website, and they try to keep up to date with what's happening across America with the current scams. It happens on a regular basis anymore. It's technology is what it is. Your computer system, your cell phone system, we're so integrated with technology that it just makes us more susceptible to those types of things. So just use your head, common sense. If you have a question about it, reach out to the police department or reach out to somebody that you know and trust, and maybe they can guide you in the right direction before you write a check to somebody or go out and start to give people your account numbers.
Right.
So
If you get a request for money and you don't know where it's coming from, it's a scam.
correct.
Just as simple as that.
Hey, if it sounds too good to be true,
It is.
more than likely it is.
Well, there's two resources. If you go to Federal Trade Commission, ftc.com, they have plenty of information for you so you can educate yourself in the process. Also, Better Business Bureau, bbb.org, is another good source for that. So the key thing is just don't give any numbers out, bank numbers, social security numbers, credit card numbers, and don't submit to anything that would request money or anything like
Correct.
that. So
That's
good.
right.
Very
You can
good.
always call them back.
Yes, you can.
After you verify that it's a legit thing.
Right. Talking about our young people for a moment, is there a curfew in Prescott Valley for teens being out at night?
There is.
There is, yes.
You want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, I'll grab this one.
Okay.
So in Prescott Valley, the curfew for anybody under 16 years old would be 10 p.m.
Okay.
And after 5 a.m., then they can go back out on the road. If you're 16 to 18 years old, so once you turn an adult, so 16 to 17 basically, it is midnight.
Okay.
Now, there are some exceptions to that. So if you are traveling to and from work, if it's an emergency, if your parents are directing you to maybe go to a store to pick something up, those are all exceptions. So other than that,
School events.
school
Right.
events, yeah,
Right.
like if you come back from a football game late and you need to travel home, then
Right.
that's acceptable.
What about our parks? We've got Fane Park. We have a number of parks in our town. What's the curfew time on those? When are they closed?
Parks all close at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
So again, if we find any people in the parks
Anybody.
after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, regardless
then-
of age, after
Yes.
10 o'clock.
So go from there. We see a lot on the news media about cameras and actions in the process. Do Prescott Valley police officers wear body cams or other recording devices that they use?
We don't currently. It's a significant cost to the town to supply not just the camera systems or the body cameras, but in order for us to retain the information that we glean from that, we have certain rules that we have to abide by and retention policies. And that's where the expense comes in. It can be in the millions of dollars for an agency our size. Believe it or not, we have 78 officers with the Prescott Valley Police Department, and in order for us to supply body cameras to each officer and then maintain that retention and recordings of those interactions, it would be very expensive for the town. Now, I do know from conversations I've had with our police officers, they very much would like to have body cameras. I think it controls the behavior of not only the officers, but also the community members that we're engaged with as well. So there are some pros to that.
Thank you. We do have voice recorders, though, don't the officers carry those?
We do have voice recorders, and some officers will record via their telephones, their cell phones.
Good, good. Thank you. Police work is intensive when you're on duty. You need a break. What else besides policing do you do? Hobbies or activities? What kind of things do you like? Sergeant, I'll kick that one over to you.
I know he boats.
Well, I tell you, yeah, I like, I'm all about the boating. You know, I have side by side. My activities are all hiking, just anything outdoors. That's what I do on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So,
What about you, Chief?
I used to rebuild cars as
Oh.
well. Yeah. I haven't done it in a long time because I've been busy with my career and kind of moving forward, and then my family as well. So I've got some grown adults in my family, but when I was with Phoenix, they were in the high school and in a lot of sports and stuff. So
Good.
I was the soccer dad, I guess. You would call it.
Okay, that's good.
But football dad, baseball dad, everything
All right.
else. So
I should have you come over and help me rebuild some engine parts on
there
there.
we go.
Well, when it comes to law enforcement, we in our town receive applications 24/7, 365, and then we'll test 2 or 3 times a year. Someone asked this question or made this statement: I want to become a police officer. What should I do before I apply?
So I would say that you need to go and gather as much information as you can via our website at Prescott Valley Police Department. You can go to Arizona Post. They have a website that provides the basic requirements for a police officer in the state of Arizona. And then just go out and speak to other officers. Try to come out on some ride-alongs and just glean as much information as you can from that.
Yeah,
That-
there are some different, websites that you can go to that provide information. There are study books that you can purchase that helps you along with the process.
And you mentioned ride along. Citizens can ride along with our department once we
Yes.
get out of this situation we're in now.
Yeah, we put a stop to it at this point because of the COVID-19. But once this does clear up, we plan on bringing it back.
Okay, good, good. We have people who are retired. When they pass away, their estate is there, and people are concerned about old ammunition in their garage or in their home. How can they dispose of that ammunition?
So you can bring it to our police department. We have a drop-off site, or you can call our non-emergency numbers and ask for an officer to come out, and we'll gather that ammunition and we'll dispose of it properly.
Okay, good. DUIs,
DUIs.
that's one of your specialties.
It is in the
How
traffic
does a
unit.
person respond if they see a vehicle on the road they think is driving erratically or recklessly?
So we have people that report this frequently, daily, matter of fact. Sometimes it's a situation where they feel like a neighbor or somebody that they see, they're driving intoxicated, and they will do like an online reporting to say, hey, at certain times I see this person leaving their house. Each one of those we look into. If it's an in progress type of a situation and they're driving down the road and you see it, you can call 911 and report it in progress, because it's a very dangerous thing. The other way to do it would be to call the non-emergency number, which for the police department it's 928-772-9267 to make the report. However, if they're actively driving down the road, then I would say call 911 and give us as much information as possible, and we will respond.
Very good. Let's ask. Let's see how quickly you can answer these questions for each of you.
All right.
Starbucks or Dutch Brothers?
Starbucks.
Dutch Brothers.
Oh,
You have a right to remain silent. I recommend you exercise that right. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Cake or ice cream?
ice cream.
Ice cream. Yes.
Winter or spring?
Summer.
Spring. Summer.
Football or baseball?
Football.
I'm going to throw your own in there, huh? Marvel or DC?
Marvel. Captain America.
Yeah.
Come on.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, dogs.
Apple or
Dogs.
PC?
I'm sorry.
Apple.
Apple or PC?
Apple.
I want a pear or a peach.
That's what I was thinking about at first when you said that. I was like, Apple or PC? It's like, yeah.
Very good, very good.
right.
Gentlemen, thank you. We're out of time. Still have more questions. May do this again. Thank you very much for being a part of this today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you for checking in.